Shut up and sit down.
Hello, Internet. How you doing? I We're only a day late. We had a couple little power outages here yesterday, thanks to some weather. So no show last night. So this is episode 151 of the Epic Fail podcast. I am, as always, the host, Draven Dresden. Well, as usually, I'll put it that way. As usual, Draven Dresden. With me, once again, returning from the bowels of wherever it was that he was. We have a Wookiee who has been shaved named Galv.
Thank you.
So it's been a few weeks since you've been on the show, Galv. How you been doing?
Pretty good. Active life, man. Active life. Lots of stuff. Work's been busy. Girlfriend, family. Trying to get on a fitness regimen again. That kind of stuff. I haven't had as much time for gaming, but got a lot done in the real world. So it's been a busy time.
Yeah, I know how that is. Still with the helping the relatives and puppy training, which we're actively trying to get them to. We're actively trying to housebreak them now at this point.
Yeah, I'm on week 5 out of 6 with training classes with my dog, Rocky, and he's improving, but I feel like his problem is that he's 1.5 years old and not 5 years old. And so he's got to be, you got to keep a leash on him pretty much all the time. He's just got too much puppy in him. He does great, but he'll also, take off at a flat sprint towards the highway, just, ooh, I see a squirrel, and he's gone. So, yeah.
Yeah, there is that. So, yeah, Windows update happened. And that messed with every setting in the world, including I had to remake my headset work. Like, it just stopped working.
Yeah, me too. The mic in particular.
Yeah.
The mic was the killer.
Yeah.
All right. So it sounds like the sound has regulated. We're in good shape.
Yeah. So thank you, Windows Update, for not only forcing yourself upon me, I feel violated, but screwing with every setting again for what I can only see as whenever I restart the computer, I have options now to log into Windows instead of typing my password, and that's it.
No good. Yeah, I had to get through 3 video card driver updates because of this. The most recent one was, I think, yesterday, or was it Thursday night, Wednesday night raid? I guess I got it done just ahead of raid. But it's a constant problem. The game's launched. Tell me I don't have a 3D graphics driver. The only way to launch games again is to literally hit the restart button. And fortunately, I got a solid state, so it only takes about 20 or 30 seconds to flat restart everything, get right back in. But seriously, come on, guys.
Yeah, I was literally in a run. Let's see, I helped. I don't know if you know the artist Noxichu. I was, excuse me, this past, not yesterday, Saturday, but the week before, I was in a group with them. They were doing progress on Heroic Argus. They finally got it, and I was there for that, because I helped. So yay for them. But shortly after that, I was going to do something else, and all of a sudden, no one could hear me. My headset, I couldn't hear anything. I switched where the sound was coming out to the speakers and the monitor itself, which is technically a TV. and sound worked. So I was like, oh crap, my headphones don't work. So I unplugged them, plugged them back in. It re-registered them, but it still wasn't working right. It was only working on one side. So I had to literally just restart the computer. And then that forced the Windows update, which took 2 hours.
Yeah. If
'Cause-
I didn't have really good speeds, it was almost an hour for me too.
Yeah.
As a bad one.
Yeah.
A bad one.
And and they wonder why we don't ever want to update our stuff.
Right. It's not broken. Don't break it again.
We understand that you want to upgrade your stuff, but let us decide when we're going to do it, not force it.
Yeah.
But, enough complaining about Windows. You mentioned pre-show you haven't seen Deadpool yet. Shame on you.
I know, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
You also mentioned you haven't seen Solo. I haven't seen Solo either, but I don't care.
I've heard surprisingly good things from friends of mine that are actually, one of them's in the film industry, and he said he really liked it. It's not the best, mind you, but it might be as good as, let's say, Rogue One, or in that vein. Which that was a pretty good movie.
It was all right. The problem I have with prequels in general is you kind of already know how it ends.
There is some truth to that, yeah.
It's like,
yep.
I mean, at this point, it's not a spoiler for Rogue One, but guess what? They steal the plans.
Yeah, absolutely. It's how they do it. It's how they do it.
We know the who's, what's, and whys and all that. It's the hows we don't have in the prequels, and I don't know. It's just, I have issues with anyone trying to mimic Harrison Ford anyway.
Well, you have to see, it's an art form. I mean, that's a whole discipline of acting. That's an older skein of acting that just doesn't get used as much.
Yeah, I have heard exceptional things for Donald Glover is his name, I think. The guy playing Lando.
Guy who plays Lando.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
heard he's amazing, which really isn't surprising considering everyone's opinion of him seems to be what's he doing? He's amazing at that.
Well, but that's the thing is, I want to see how they pull it off.
Yeah,
I want to see how they pull it off.
I will eventually watch it, but it's not my in theater must sees. I'll put it that way.
Well, I did see Infinity Wars again. Took my kids. They loved it.
Did they cry?
They were a little emotional at the end, but they still said it was a great film. Like, they were super excited to have seen it. Because, I mean, are we? Can I give like mid-tier spoiler here? It's like Empire Strikes Back. It doesn't end with the good guys winning, right? It's setting up something else. It's setting
Avengers
up another
4.
phase. Well, but you're going to go into Captain Marvel. There's a whole bunch of other films that are going to roll into place between now and then.
So, just as a point of interest, you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is set prior to Infinity War.
That's what I understand too.
And Captain Marvel, which is set during the 90s. So,
but there's still going to be
a
time frame. There's still going to be a time frame of things that happen in here too, though.
So, yeah, we don't know what's going on with either one of them yet. But there are many theories out there. We're not going to get into them. We're not going to discuss Infinity War because
it still feels spoilery, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's Deadpool 2 for that matter. It's fun. I want to talk about Deadpool.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just have to settle for the GIF that's on the screen because that's not going away anytime soon.
That is a fantastic GIF. I love that one.
Yeah. If they make a Deadpool 3, the guy who does that GIF, he goes to conventions, he needs to be in there. Like, Deadpool shows up at a convention and there's a guy dressed as Deadpool. And even if the guy
just on the escalator
is doing that or is just there and he doesn't realize it's the real Deadpool and he's antagonizing him and end up getting shot or something, that I just want that guy in there because I've watched a lot of his convention stuff and he's hysterical.
I love how we're entertaining Alessandra so much that she's loaded up Civ 6.
Yeah,
but I like Civ 6, so that's good.
She multitasks.
That's true.
But anyway, getting into the actual news stuff, because unless you said you didn't have much time for gaming, so I don't figure you have a whole lot of in-game news.
Just we can hit some of the high notes as we go through.
Yeah.
Nothing earth shaking.
Yeah, the biggest news for me in terms of games is I finally got my Karazhan the Smoldering Emberworm today.
Congrats.
I couldn't find a group for it, and then finally I got a couple people together, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll go. We all already have it. It'll take us 20 minutes, maybe." Yeah, we did it in 12
Nice.
with four.
Nice.
There was four of us.
Well, that's good though. I did start a Void Elf Warrior today because I'm thinking of using that for the fire department in the next expansion. So I'm taking that for a spin. I have a Light Forged Warrior on Thunderlord, but I was just like, well, it's got there's some interesting characteristics here, shadow damage mitigation, the sort of pseudo teleport abilities. Take a spin with one of the new races. You can't make them all, they can't all be cookie cutter. Well, they're a spellcaster race. Screw it. They can play warrior. Let's go. Giddy up.
I have a Void Elf Warrior that I'm leveling up slowly, but I've got it. But from what I hear, the Light Forged, if I remember correctly, the racials are overpowered. So expect a nerf there. But neither here nor there. But anyway, getting into the news, as you noticed from the brief thing at the beginning.
Yes.
Not technically directly Blizzard, but he used to do Blizzard stuff, including a podcast for Warcraft. TotalBiscuit. Let me get it over here. He's had cancer for a while, or at least made it public a while ago, and literally just a couple of days ago, it finally got the better of him.
Yeah. I think that the lesson I learned from what he did is he got to a spot where he was going to keep doing the one thing that he had found his niche in, and he sort of kept at it. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna have that kind of trouble in life hunt you down, do what you like, make your mark, or don't. But be out there, put yourself out there. Don't go away before it's your time just because you're feeling down. Be out there. And he definitely hit those marks.
Yeah. I mean, say what you want about him. Not everyone liked him. Not everyone agreed with what he said. He was definitely opinionated.
Right.
But I don't see anything wrong with that. And I didn't agree with everything he said all the time. I didn't agree with how he said stuff sometimes. But I always took him at face value in that if he said something, that's what he thought. So I had to, I had to at least a little bit of respect for him for that. Like I said, like him or not, it's still overall a loss for podcasting and game reviews and stuff like that, because that's what he did. And then Starcraft in particular, he was still running Starcraft tournaments up until at least a couple months ago, the last I heard.
Went out with his bootstraps on, I mean, as it were. I think, like you said, you don't have to agree with him, but I think that he did what I would imagine is the right way to go. So, but yeah, rip.
Yeah. So you'll be missed, and I'm sure if I can find it, I'm sure there's some sort of a charity he would support. I know he loved dogs, so it'll probably be pet related. I'll see if I can find something.
Okay.
To donate in his name.
We can retweet that one out too, if you find something.
Yeah, if I find something, I will definitely. But yeah, sad day. So we'll just go ahead and move on to something a little happier. There's no Diablo news, surprising.
Woo woo.
There's a bit of Starcraft stuff out there, but it's the tournaments. There's not really like anything super huge outside of Alessander, no one's gonna care. I'm sorry,
Well,
Alessander, but it's true.
to that point, though, I mean, look at. I would say we don't have anything specific, broad audience that we're going to go over, but every week that we talk about StarCraft, they're rocking it. They've got Diablo, not Diablo. They've got Stars of Lean Alice on their chat. They got tournaments rolling all the time. StarCraft is prolific. It's just not super high profile. So, props to them.
Yeah, I mean, they do tons of tournaments, and it's great. And I haven't watched nearly enough this year as compared to other years. Same with another game, Heroes of the Storm. I've watched so little of it in comparison to other years that it's
Yep.
just like if it's on, I'm like the HGC part of it. I mean, it
Yep.
might be on depending on who's playing, and
I tell
even
you,
then, it's just kind of.
I'm drawn to Overwatch League
Mhm.
because it's right up on. I follow it with Twitch. And then the Hearthstone, whenever there's Hearthstone finals or big Hearthstone, semifinals or something leading up. And then Heroes of the Storm is so broad that I haven't been able to keep up with it. I know there's like a tournament going on here, or a tournament going on there, but I don't know what it means in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really pull me in as much as the other ones do. I think Overwatch League has been dominating my attention because it's you know exactly what the stakes are all the time.
Yeah. Well, I will say that Blizzard has put way more into advertising and such for Overwatch League, which they should. It's definitely their esports bread and butter.
Right.
But in comparison to any other game, they're doing all those other games huge disservices by barely mentioning them or even hinting that they exist at this point. Just because Overwatch has the numbers, it's getting all of the attention. And, some of these other things, like, I don't personally watch Hearthstone, but it gets numbers whenever it's on sometimes.
Yep.
Blizzard doesn't mention it, sadly.
Nope.
Heroes doesn't get a whole lot of numbers, but Blizzard also doesn't mention it. Like every now and then you'll see it. It's if you're getting ready to play Heroes, you'll see it on the screen. It's yeah, HEC's live. There's no you don't see anything anywhere else for it. And Overwatch League is the only one they do. So that's still my one complaint for Blizzard is you throw some advertising to these other games too.
I feel like they could duplicate some of the success with Overwatch League if they just use those resources similarly with Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Alessander in chat's like saying that someone was saying Overwatch numbers are falling. Well, it's
Yeah.
mid-season. You're going to have the huge numbers at the beginning, and then you're going to have the huge numbers for the whatever playoffs for each stage. And then you get the season one's getting ready to end because stage 4 is midway through, just getting started. So it's got another few weeks. It'll pick back up for November, and then it's going to be the same. It's going to be that roller coaster like it is every time.
Right.
Now, is it going to stay a roller coaster, or is that roller coaster eventually going to fade off? Who knows? It seems like it's doing well. So, I mean, there's that, but
I'm not sure. Alessandra's making me giggle.
yeah, she does that. But yeah, in terms of actual game news, Heroes of the Storm turns 3 years old this week. And they're celebrating with 2 things. One, you get the year 3 banners and stuff like that, the sprays. They're green instead of purple like last time.
Right.
But that Nexu Mania thing is the Suns Out, Guns Out. It's the summer event, basically. And the new skins are all luchadors. You get a pug with a luchador mask as a mount if you play enough.
I gotta get when they get that back. I gotta get Grill Master 76 when the summer ones come back around.
Well, that's an Overwatch,
That's but
not Heroes. But
mental note to myself.
yeah, but that's really all there was for Heroes anyway. So we can move on to Overwatch. And since you mentioned Growmaster, you can actually get that right now in game in a loot box, or you can pay the in-game credits, which don't pay credits for it yet.
Let's see what's going on. I guess I'm doing a show, so I won't. But yeah, we were doing a little pre-show Overwatch. Testing out. It's really cool that they've got the arcade. What would you call that? An arcade roulette going on.
Yeah. It's like I think it seems to be every 18-ish hours. It's getting updated because it's getting updated before midnight East Coast. And so that's weird because I was going in expecting to play Retribution because I played Retribution earlier today. And then it was Lucia Ball.
And I had not played yet. So that was fun.
So that was interesting. But so Lucia Ball is back and they're on a rotation, which means tomorrow, whatever time it changes, it should be Junkenstein, probably the any hero.
Sweet.
So that's going to be fun. I'll play a ton of that tomorrow.
I think that the way they set that up is good. I mean, I'll get more. I could be more elaborate, but those limited time
events.
Yeah. I mean, you missed it, but now it's back for just this long. So
till the 11th of next month. So it's going to be the events one a day, but during this time frame, also Overwatch is free for this weekend. So if you're listening live, you can download Overwatch and play for free. Please come in and play. I need people that are worse than me on my opponent's teams.
But I was going to say, I highly recommend Overwatch as far as having it.
Yeah, but
if you can spare the space.
More importantly, and I mentioned this with your Grillmaster thing, every event is unlocked. Admittedly, they're on a rotation, so you don't get to play them nonstop. So I couldn't play Junkenstein for 2 weeks because it's on a rotation. But what is open and unlocked during the entire time is every item. So your Grillmaster, which is probably still 3,000 tokens, is available in loot chests. You could get them now.
I saved up just to get that.
Don't get it now.
Why?
Because it will be cheaper whenever the summer event happens again. It's still 3,000 now. It'll be 1,000 when it comes out. So you're actually saving your tokens.
All right.
I have gotten the Bastion skin and the Doomfist skin, and then I paid for the Moira dance, even though I don't play Moira.
It says they're all locked. Unlock. Oh, I see. Yep. No, I'm following you. I follow. I gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, you can get it, but it costs 3,000 right now for your soldier. Whereas if you wait until the event happens again, it will be 1,000 because that's when its price will drop.
Gotcha. Okay. Although it looks like there's some really good mid-tier stuff. The purples, I guess those are the rares, not the legendary skins. Yeah. And ironically, there's more legendary skins than any of the others, which would make you think that they're not legendary, but that's not the way it actually is.
A lot of them have extra voice work and stuff like that. So as much as I hate to admit it, because I hate the idea of 3,000 tokens versus 1,000, you are getting more if you pay the 3,000 for that, as opposed to the 750 skins. You are getting a little more. Sometimes you don't want that extra. You're like, okay, the voice file's fine. I'm good. I'm just going to go ahead and keep the same voice and just use the skin. That's fine too.
I just saw Cultist Zenyatta. Wow.
Cthulhu face?
Cthulhu face.
Yeah.
Or Cthulhu face, depending on how you want to roll that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've never dipped your toe into the Overwatch waters, take advantage of the free weekend to totally do that.
Yes, please. I need the target practice on Widowmaker.
Oh, you're terrible.
That's why I need the practice.
So do you want to touch on Hearthstone real quick?
You know what? If you want to touch on Hearthstone, I will give you 3 minutes.
Okay. Well, do you have any graphics set up on the
I
updates?
do not.
All right. So what I'll tell you is that for a long time, one of the major metas, not the recent expansion, but the Q block meta and some of the pieces that go with that have been absolutely dominating ladder. And they did a huge shakeup. Spiteful Summoner, which has been a key part of 3 decks, was increased from 6 mana to 7 mana. The Cavern Below, which was the Rogue Quest from when Quest came out, which has already been nerfed once, where it used to be you had to play 4 minions with the same name. Now it got upgraded to you have to play 5 minions with the same name, and then you turned all of your minions into 5/5. So you would flood the board with a bunch of 5/5 cards that cost nothing and overwhelm your opponent. Well, they nerfed it again, so that now only the minions are only 4/4. So that's twice that's been nerfed. Dark Pact was nerfed from 8 heals for Warlocks to 4 heal, and Possessed Lackey, which was Death Rattle Recruit a Minion, was bumped from 5 mana up to 6 mana. And Call to Arms was the Paladin recruit 3 minions costing 2 or less, which is a big deal, was raised from 4 to 5. What do you mean, Galv? What does this mean? These are all numbers. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I will tell you what it means is they basically took a giant axe to the meta board. Paladins and Warlocks were dominating, and now the meta has been completely upended. Shamans have risen to the top with not only a couple of odd or even deck Shaman is a big deal, and Shutterwalk is now completely viable in top end meta, which is nuts. Like I kind of disagree with how much they've changed it, but on the other hand, it's a complete crapshoot when you're out there playing. So they really took a battle axe to the decks that everyone's been using. That's the update. And they changed Naga Sea Witch from 7 mana to 8 mana, but I haven't seen that in any decks. I understand the premise. Your cards cost 5. I assume the goal is to get the Sea Witch out and then start playing a bunch of like 8, 9, 10 cost cards for 5. I just haven't seen it much. So I don't know why they changed it. But there's
Because you're
there's
3
your
minutes.
Because 3 minutes, done.
It's 3 minutes. No, I haven't kept up on Hearthstone, so it's that. I mean, I will let Galv cover it a little bit. I gave him 3 minutes as a joke. He pretty much covered the whole thing in 2.5 anyway, so it's fine.
Well, I had to leave time for you to fill in your knowledge, which is less than 30 seconds.
Of Hearthstone, yeah, it is less than 30 seconds at this point. It's a card game. You get pixels. It's cards. You wanna get the other guy down to 0. But anyway, we'll move on to the last bit of news, at least in terms of games, and that's for Warcraft. Jaina got a new comic strip type thing, and that's kind of where I stole our title card for. I got rid of all the thought words and put our logo and episode number in, and there you go. Easy title card. Plus, it's got Jaina crying with Kindy turning to ash, and I couldn't resist because of other spoilers.
Yeah.
The meme that's going around. So
Yeah.
I was just one of those things I had to do.
Yep.
What did you think of the comic, though, Galv? It was really short.
I think it. So I've read a number of them, but I feel like this comic was fantastic in the setup for B of A. Like, I want to play the expansion right this second, right now, because I read that comic. Like, because I want to see what happens. I mean, I know I could log on to the beta, but all the stuff is watching Thrall shoot down Deathwing. So, I want to see what's going on. Go read the comic because it deals with Jaina's homecoming, or not, depending on how you look at it, and what leads her to that point. And then if you've played any of the beta or seen any of just the intro, not super spoilery, but okay, big two factions are the trolls and the Kul Tarath, right? Kul Taras, however you say it. So you're going to Jaina's hometown, and how they work that one out in B of A, I am excited to see. How about you? What did you think of it?
I think it was a good setup. I realize it's part one of, I think they said they're doing 3 or 4 of them. So there's a little bit of room left over still. But it didn't quite. I liked it, but it wasn't quite where I thought it was going to be. Like, it just was like, oh, Jaina's all mopey and emo again. And that's fine, but
Draven, until goblins destroy your adopted home with a giant mega bomb, I don't think you can truly criticize how Jaina feels.
I can criticize her anytime I want. Because I can, that's why.
Murica.
Because Murica.
Because Murica. As we celebrate Memorial Day weekend, and remember that so many gave their lives so that we can have opinions about Jaina.
Yes. I have many opinions about Jaina. But
still, what do you call those? No, Dreadlord Jaina? Dreadlord Jaina.
I would, yeah, that's the only good Jaina skin to use in Heroes of the Storm. But we also got not just a Jaina update, but a flying update. So last show we had a conversation. Galv, you weren't here, so you didn't hear this unless you listened to the show. Where we weren't sure if you had to level both characters, both sides to get it, because you had to get the achievements for Cool Tyrans and Zandalar. Well, they clarified it's only one of them, one or the other, so you don't do both. But you also have to do War Friends and IO expeditions and stuff like that, which is not really surprising. It's basically the same as it's always been. Part 1 of Pathfinder is experience everything. Then you can get the flying later.
Yeah. Explore every nook and cranny of the content we have put out there for you.
Yep.
And when all of the mystery has been exhausted, or for the most part, you can now fly around. So that way you don't accidentally spoil the mystery running around while you're, which I get. I always thought that was a good premise. There's places you can get to and little quests and things. And if you could fly, a lot of that becomes completely pointless. So it's cool to do it first.
There are limits to how okay I am with the zigzag up and down patterns and stuff like that. I know Warlords, there was tons of places I was just no, this is stupid. I have to go all the way around the mountain to go up the hill, to go across the bridge, to go up this other mountain to get to my quest. No. Give me a path up the mountain, not up 3 mountains across.
You must be talking about the zone Salty Suramar.
I was actually talking Warlords and Spires of Iraq.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah. Suramar I didn't have an issue with, mainly because I was so close to flying by that point anyway. I was like, whatever.
Well, a lot of that stuff was up on these little crags in between those valleys on the north half of the map.
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with Suramar. High Mountain had some of that. Stormheim had some of that, but they give you a grappling hook.
Which was a good I thought that was a good solution.
Yeah, that was nice. But Suramar, I didn't really have that issue. My issue with Suramar was more, I just want to finish the story. It's why can I only do this one quest and it was nothing. It was a pacing issue, but that's, neither here nor there at this point, because now it's all unlocked. You can do it all in one sitting if you really want to.
Yep. Still, I think Suramar is the slowest pace because they tried to cram a lot of mid expansion end game content in there, and it ended up not being end game content. So,
I will complain about it just because of the pacing issue, but I'm one of those people who I just want to go through and get it done. But for
Gotcha.
what it was, with very few exceptions, it was still better than most of the Broken Shores weekly content where you get to, talk to Khadgar. He wants 5,000 of these things. Just kidding, he only needs one.
Yeah, I agree.
There was stuff like that. And then the mission tables where it's like, you can do this and you can go on, but it's going to take you 12 hours for this one, 12 hours for the next one, and then 24 for the one after that. And you can't do anything else until then. That needs to stop. But
So I did learn something, by the way, today that I did not know, is that if you're level 100, you can't do time walking.
you should be able to.
You have to unlock it somehow, because I couldn't.
I think you might have been bugged then, because you should be able to, because everything is under 100.
Old War.
Old War, maybe not.
That was available. The Old War raid was available. The time
Okay.
walking was not.
I think
Go
you were
figure.
bugged then, because I know I've done them on not max level characters. In fact, I was talking, Zeph was doing, I guess it was Old War. But I know they're available they should be available once you hit 80, since it was Wrath content.
Because it should be Lich King right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wouldn't let me. Go figure.
Maybe you got inflicted with my in-queue curse.
It's possible. It's possible.
Really wouldn't surprise me.
So what's this next entry you got here?
This next entry, this Mythic 15.
Yeah.
So up until this past week, Blizzard has been all Mage Tower, Mythic 15, can't get them after BFA comes out.
Okay.
Well, they kind of went back on that since Mythic Plus is still going to be a thing next expansion.
All right.
You don't have to have it equipped, but you can do Mythic 15 and unlock appearances in BFA still too. So now it's just the Mage Tower you have to unlock. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I approve.
Yeah, it's not like it's a huge issue. It's a weapon appearance. It's not a piece of loot that's going to be game breaking. It's not freaking 960 Arcano crystal.
Right.
So
Absolutely. God, that thing's never going to go away, is it?
it'll get nerfed by 103, or I'm sorry, 113. It'll probably be used up until 113, 115, depending on drops you get in dungeons. It might possibly make it. It depends on how it scales whenever they do the item squish.
That's a good point. The item squish will probably clear it out.
Yeah. Procs will probably be a little bit better. But I do know that I will be taking Pride as my necklace for leveling.
Yeah. Pride as is, people, especially in some groups that travel in, say Pride as like it's a 4-letter word. It's been great for raids. I mean,
so if you have a raid, say if you're a method, maybe your tanks will use Pride as, and that's going to be about it. And that's if maybe, because everyone doesn't get hit by mechanics, at least for the most part. But if you're lower level, okay, you might do like 0.5% less damage, but you're going to take so much less damage yourself that the healers can focus on the tanks more.
Yep. Every 30 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, so I was told I don't need to wear it because I generally don't get hit by mechanics, but yet I still do because on those rare instances where I do get hit by mechanics, I don't want to have to worry about, oh crap, I need to heal or I need to be healed. Let the healers heal someone else. So I still use it because the difference in my DPS isn't going to be, it's not like game breaking. It's not going to go from, I'm just going to make numbers up, 1.7 million to 8.9 million. It's not going to be that, using Pride as is not going to make that much of a difference.
Well, the other thing that comes to mind for me, though, is that whenever I simmed it out, the stats are so good on Pride for the DPS classes. It
Sometimes,
always simmed out the best for me. Well, the DPS classes I was
yeah.
using.
Well,
So, I mean, it's
it
got
just it
phenomenal
depends.
stats.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Since I main Ret, I would do more DPS using a different set of legendaries than Pride has in the ring. If I use both rings, it'd be a little better.
Okay.
But it's 0.5%. It's like 0.4% difference. I'm not.
Right.
I would rather take the less damage and let the healers not worry about me as much. Even though, yeah, fine, I don't usually step in mechanics unless it's, oh, you need to soak this. Okay.
Well, what if one of your teammates drops a mechanic on you? I mean,
Yeah.
the whole point is that staying alive through the duration of the fight means you do more damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's
If you don't want to wear it, you
yeah,
don't want to wear it. It's fine. It's not generally game breaking, but on progression in particular, it helps.
yeah.
And on damage heavy fights, AoE heavy fights, where things are just constantly coming at you. Varamathras on heroic, where you're always taking damage, it helps because you're not taking as much damage. Every 30 seconds, you have an absorb bubble.
Oh yeah, yeah. And there might be balls flying at your face. There's
Are
mechanics
we
like that.
talking Lucio Ball or your private life?
Well, that was a Lucio Ball reference that I snuck in there too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I just I can't fathom anyone being like, oh well, for 0.5% DPS more on the sim, I'm gonna take Pride off. I'm like,
Not so. I will.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
min max as much as I can for my
right.
stuff. That being said, I have a non Pride as set. I have I'm ret, but I'm going to tank and dungeon set, and basically it is Pride S and my run speed boots as my two legendaries.
Those are good ones.
On top of my my regular gear, obviously.
Yeah,
But those
yeah.
are my two legendaries, and then I have my Pride S set for raiding, my non Pride S set for raiding, and my heroic dungeon fake tanking it because it ain't gonna kill me anyway.
Yep.
So there's that. I can switch if I see healing's not an issue for the or if I know healing's not an issue for the late, like mythic, what's his name, the first boss.
Garathi Worldbreaker.
Yeah, I may or may not bother with the Pride as. Now, if I think that it's going to depend on the group that we have. Like, if I know, oh, we don't have as many soakers as normal,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'm going to wear Pride as.
See, that's another great point. Is that fight alone with how much soaking you have to do?
Mm-hmm.
Having the extra 30% of your health pool as a shield? I mean, why would you not do that? Like, regardless
Yeah.
of the other situations.
Yeah, and
Some fights just, yeah.
like pretty much most of heroic Coven, I'll keep it on just because with the storms
Yeah.
and stuff. But Agrimara, I leave it on because of the dot that you're almost constantly dealing with. But
So, like, Portal Keeper, if you get hit by the imp thing, that's a catastrophic level event. So I suppose you wouldn't really need Pride as to survive that because it's going to be a wipe.
yeah,
ENR, you don't need it
Argus,
for.
yeah, ANR. I don't even honestly. I'm gonna probably get in trouble for this. I don't even pop cooldowns on ANR outside of that one bottom platform where you have the two big ad and you have to kill one real
Yep.
quick. That's the only time to
Yep.
use them. Like I don't potion on that fight because there's no reason to.
The range do. Like the range when you've got
Yeah.
the bats. Like
But
bats.
I play as a melee. I don't have to worry. I don't
Yeah.
worry about the bats, and if I do worry about them, they're already on the tree. So
Yep.
I don't.
And they're easy to get when they're on the tree.
Yeah, and they just stand there, and I can just whatever. But
Yeah, you could obliterate them pretty quick.
I could pop my cooldowns more and stuff, but it's just overall it's not worth it for that fight, especially with our group because our gear
Yep.
we just kind of destroy it anyway.
It's a fun fight. We're getting. I would say it's not the most challenging. It's a little different. I think they could have done better for a tower defense style fight to really mix it up. But the way that the timing's going, I wish that there was a little more cause and effect, because at our level of DPS on heroic, we're literally, aside from the ranged, because the bats just have a funky distance. We're waiting. We're waiting on something to spawn. you shouldn't be waiting for stuff to spawn in a boss fight in heroic. So
Yeah.
I wish there was a little more
To be fair though, we do outgear heroic for the most part. It's just now it's learning mythic and having enough people for mythic.
Yep.
Like, I mean, this past week we had more than enough, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and sit out, guys. We have more than enough. I got other things I need to do.
I was going to say that was one of the points that we didn't have on the agenda tonight, but raid fatigue is a real thing right now.
Yeah, I'm. That's part of the reason why I was willing to sit out. I was like, I don't really want to be there tonight. Like, I'll come in and I'll help out if I'm needed, but if I can sit out, I want to sit out.
I'm not saying don't play World of Warcraft, but I mean, I feel like this is a nice spot to take a break or be casual.
Yeah. If you need a break and you're on a raid team, tell the raid team, hey, I need a break for just a couple weeks, the rest of the expansion, whatever. Otherwise, still show up. And if you can't show up, give a reason why if you can. Most of us use Discords. Our raid team has a Discord. I was like, hey, I'm going to be like 45 minutes late. I didn't give a reason. It was a family thing. And okay, I got in. We did maybe 2 pulls on Argus, and then they went to Mythics. And I was like, I was late. I'm going to sit out so these other people can get in and do it.
Yeah, I totally appreciate everyone that shows up because, in my opinion, raiding, because it's so social, like those people, the banter you get to have with people in between pulls, that's what makes it the most fun. Is taking that group of people and accomplishing all these goals, or fighting your way through with it. Although we are at this weird place where we are carrying people for Argus for people to get their AOTC achievements and mounts with the fire department, and the temps that come in, like the people we're carrying, outperform our regular raiders anyway. Halland is just on my butt about that. He's like, and I'm like, yeah, I know, because our regular people just get one shot to mechanics that they've been doing for months, and the people who are coming in are like all excited because they're paying attention because they've never been it's super dangerous for them, so they're paying attention and they're appropriately geared, and they dodge it and they survive the whole fight. It's great.
And a way to avoid getting those one shots is Predas.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, but if you're on autopilot, wear Predas.
I mean, if you're on autopilot, chances are, you outgear the mechanics anyway. You outgear the fight. But you probably are in that spot where take a week off of raiding. If we don't have 20, we won't do Mythic. It's not a big deal. Our goal was clear Heroic.
Make sure Halland's not in chat right this second. I'm not going to get yelled at.
Yeah. I mean, if we don't clear Mythic, which at this point we're not going to clear Mythic. Even if we
might, but it's not like
it's gonna take a stroke of freaking lightning up everyone's rear end.
No, clearing Mythic has never been our goal, though.
Yeah,
I don't.
We got through Heroic. Couple expansions ago, I'd be like, okay, let's push Mythic. This expansion, I was just like, I'm good with just clearing Heroic.
Yeah, I was gonna say the irony is that the best yield for gear score is probably from Mythic Plus dungeons anyway. For time and yield, getting something.
It depends. If you do the 15, which is what it maxes out for gear, you can go higher than that if you want, but 15 is where your gear maxes. You don't get anything bonus. You get 960, 955, 960, somewhere around there for gear drops.
Yep.
But it might not be anything you can use due to the legendary restriction, or you need certain stats, or hey, I've got this 4-piece, I can't break that for anything.
Yeah, my hunter's set locked. I can't take off my 2-piece tier 20 because it's such a huge part of my DPS.
Yeah.
So
once the stat squish happens, though, you might want to resim because.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
You might not have the ability it's boosting anymore.
So that's one thing I'm looking forward to in B of A. Now, they said there's no tier pieces, right? There's no tier sets.
There's the
been a
Azerite
tier.
armor, and it's going to have its bonuses. But yeah, there's no technical
Right.
tier.
Because what we've experienced in Legion is uh, benching item level again for set bonuses. I mean,
That's always been the case, though.
yeah, but it's extreme.
I
Like,
mean, for some classes, having the 4-2 break. I mean, if you could do it,
yep,
this expansion was the first one you really could, outside of really old sets like in Classic and stuff like that.
right, right.
But if you could have like a 2-piece and a 2-piece, sometimes that was better than having a 4-piece of either. I
That's true.
know Cataclysm Blood Death Knights, short of Dragon Soul, 2 and 2 is the way to go.
Double deuce.
Yeah, and then once you got to Dragon Soul, you wanted Dragon Soul 4-piece as quickly as possible because it was freaking shield wall for everybody for every tank.
I loved that. I loved being able to hit AMS and putting the Magic Shield bubble over the whole raid. That was fun.
Yeah, that's presuming you have good tanks, and at the time, my tanks weren't always the best.
Well, yeah, I just like having a utility role in
Yeah,
addition to a main role.
yeah, I think that if possible, having as many people have a role that if they can do it, it makes the fight easier. But if they
Yeah,
don't do it, it doesn't cause a wipe still, and that's a really hard thing to balance. Because I'm
I
sorry, I don't want certain people in charge of whether or not we wipe. I'm not going to name any names, but if it relied on defensive cooldowns by certain people, I would be like, yeah, I'm just going to sit out tonight because we have this person. And I'm not saying
well, no,
it's anyone in our raid. I've been in pugs and stuff.
no, but I think that synergy is one of the things I'm really looking forward to in B of A, and one of the things I miss is class synergy. Like, if you had a warrior use their cooldown a certain way, hunters get better for 10 seconds. Different things
Yeah,
where, like you said, you could do the fight and it won't cause a wipe. But if you have players working in concert, pulling off, I would say, class to class combo moves, where that high level of gameplay would make your whole team more effective, 2 or 3 or 4% better in a fight. That would be cool. Knowing that warriors had a combo with monks, or something where, not a combo necessarily, but their cooldowns would play off of someone else, or their buff would play off of something else. Commanding roar, or not, commanding shout, or what's the druid one? The roar,
stampeding roar, something like that.
stampeding roar.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Gives you you have to do a mechanic, but if you do it and you use one of these cooldowns, it is like a springboard for another class's DPS or heals or tanking or something.
Yeah,
That would be cool. I think
yeah.
that would be a lot of fun.
That would be really hard to balance if they did it the way I'm imagining it. You're explaining it to me, though. But
Maybe.
I have a weird imagination when it comes to that kind of thing, so who knows? I do know that they're trying to rein in the homogenization we've been having since Cataclysm
Yeah, that
for more
sucks.
class identity. So you actually do want multiple, like, yeah, mages are probably still going to have time warp. Shaman still have heroism or bloodlust, whatever you want to call it. And then hunters probably will still have that one pet. So this is a bad example, but you're not going to have 5, 6 classes that can do the same thing. Everyone's going to have their own set stuff that they can do again. So having a little more variety is probably going to, at least for our level of play, it's probably going to be a good thing. Now you get up into like the world first stuff, they're still going to class stack.
Well, I mean, what if, for example, the Bloodlust Shaman, instead of being a haste buff, was like a 2% damage buff? Like whatever you hit did 2% more damage or something. And then if you did time warp, it was a haste, like, so that they're not overlapping abilities. You couldn't have them both at the same time, but you could use both of them during the fight. So it wasn't as homogenized. That would be kind of cool.
I would go, if we were going to go down that route, I would say heroism, bloodlust is what it is now, make Time Warp a defensive cooldown.
Defensive.
So like
How?
the fights where they're like um the boss flings something at you and there's a swirly on the ground and you either have to stand in it or not. Hit Time
Okay.
Warp and it just slows that stuff down so you can actually have more time to soak or get out of the way. And
Okay.
then you might
Sort of
even
like
take it.
time dilation, like in Alison's fight.
Yeah, kind of. Plus, that makes it more fun for someone like me. Maybe I can break that fight then, or break every fight if Time Warp can slow stuff down.
Well, but yeah, let's say, because like, what if I'm hearing you correctly? What if you had the two? What if mages got those two abilities like Ellison had, time warp and time dilation, where um, essentially you could either turn all of the dots in the raid to
Faster.
double speed, yeah, or half speed. So you could control the kind of damage either coming into the raid is for raid wide damage over time, or how much damage the boss is taking. Like compress a dot that does 500,000 in over 16 seconds and make it all happen in 8 seconds. There could be a use to that.
Speeding it up, I see lots of uses for, but slowing it down, I see one use for, and that is literally face changes.
Well, I would say letting the healers catch up. If you
Oh yeah, slow guys,
right,
slow DPS mage. Okay, thank you. Okay,
well, right, but like if it's
it's
the
still a
raid
phase
is
change.
taking, yeah, yeah. I'm thinking to myself, like, let's say that the boss throws on some horrific dot that does like 2 million damage a second, and mages can dilate time and slow that down so that ability is only doing 1 million damage a second, but it's spread out over a longer period of time. Like, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
It's an
that'd be
interesting concept.
interesting. I would imagine that'd be a programmer's nightmare.
Well, they did it in the Ellison fight. They did it twice. They did it with temporal
Yeah,
swirly dude. What's his
yeah,
face?
but to give that to players for every possible fight,
Maybe. Just an
it
idea.
would be doable. I'm not arguing that. It would be doable,
Yeah.
but I think that would you'd be you'd have to have a 10-minute cooldown on it, or you'd have to be a cooldown
Hmm?
on it.
Oh yeah, it would be a once a fight sort of thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, just
that'd be
just talking
interesting.
out about reducing homogenization
Yeah,
amongst the classes.
that would definitely be interesting. Although I don't know if I'd count that as homogenization type thing, just because there are other things that you're going to take less damage. It's going to last the same duration, but it's just going to not hit you as hard. There are things out there like that, so who knows?
Gotcha.
But anyway, we did get a question from Alessander
Oh yeah, yeah.
pre-show, and I actually didn't think we'd actually make it as long as we have for the show, so I threw it in. And basically, the gist of it is, who would you bring back to life out of all the Warcraft characters? I mean, the example she gave was Varian, Vol'jin, Tyrion, Arthas, Ysera, stuff like that. Who would you bring back? And then I was actually going to take it one step further. Who would you bring back or kill instead, and why, and what repercussions do you think that would have? But I think that's going to be a discussion for another time. So we'll just do the who would you bring back, but we'll add the why.
So I was starting to think about this one, and if there was one where my heart was in it, and I said, which one of these is the most unfair? I would could you correct if you could like right or wrong? I think it would be Ysera. Um, but if I went for a purely like if you really want to turn the world on its head, Sylvanas. Those are my two thoughts.
Yes, Sylvanas would be an interesting one because I'm presuming you're going all the way back to Arthas doesn't kill her back into Sunwell.
Like if you could just yank her out of time
Mm-hmm.
and see, if they did like a Chromie Bronze Dragon
Yeah, we keep
Like,
Sylvanas alive so Arthas doesn't kill her, so she doesn't become a banshee, so she doesn't become an undead, so she doesn't become the leader of the Undercity, so she doesn't eventually become war chief of the Horde, because she'd
right?
still be an elf and part of the Alliance.
Maybe.
Well, she's a high elf, so we don't really know where. If she probably wouldn't be anywhere, she'd just be like, "Yeah, go away." She'd be
Yeah.
but she probably would be an Alliance NPC if she was still alive.
Right. Right. But that's a good one. I had to say Ysera because I felt like in Legion, of all the raw deals, having Ysera die via the nightmare whole thing, I thought like that's a pretty raw deal.
Yeah.
So
I have a weird one
go
because
for it.
the name I'm gonna say isn't who we killed, even though we killed that person. Or in this case, dragon.
Okay.
Neltharion. Deathwing. We killed
Okay.
Deathwing. I consider Neltharion to have been killed by Deathwing. Like Neltharion
So
turned into like
you're going with the Darth Vader argument. You're going Obi-Wan Kenobi's point of view.
yeah, kinda.
Okay.
I'm going with if Neltharion never got corrupted into Deathwing, that is what I would change. Like bring that back so he never turned into Deathwing. Thus, the Dragon Soul object never was needed. All that fun stuff.
So we'd actually get the videos in the Battle for Azeroth beta instead of having to watch the Dragon Soul object over and
No, we'd still have some other old video there. Probably Arthur's dying, but
over. Yeah.
yeah.
So
If that
Zeph,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna say she wrote something in chat here. Tyrion
Yeah,
Fordring, right?
I'm okay with him dying. Honestly,
I would say that he was an overpowered character NPC at that point, but the way he went out was kind of like a throwaway. It was epic in a set piece,
yeah.
but how does Tyrion get sucked into that moment? Why is he wearing that specific armor when I haven't seen him in that armor set before? Or, you know what I mean? It's kind of like
Yeah.
it was a setup, but maybe that was the point.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, I know chat room right now is saying Nelth was corrupted by the old gods. Yeah, so that wasn't him dying technically, but that's where his personality died. That's what I was going with. So if I can't pick him, I would probably I don't know who I would pick, honestly. To who I would save. I'd have to give it a little more thought. Like I get the questions like she's putting up Tyrion. Vol'jin is on my list for sure. But
Yep.
I want to see basically I want to see how Sylvanas comes out of Battle for Azeroth before I would say Vol'jin, because it might be one of the and how Vol'jin comes into the story. Because they said he's not done yet, even though he's dead. So I want to see
Well,
how this happens before I say him. Ysera.
see, she's not so pivotal to the storyline,
It's more of a
but
tearjerker moment.
yeah, I'm like, that's a really raw deal. Like, what did Ysera do?
Yeah.
Ysera did nothing wrong. Ysera is there, just takes a ambush, and then you have to kill her. So yeah, a tearjerker. Literally a lunar tearjerker.
I don't know the name, but I know who I pick. Nas Dormu's mate. I don't know the name of that particular dragon. It's a bronze dragon.
Oh,
That's who I would pick. Because that death makes him go crazy enough to create the infinite dragonflight, causing so many other problems. That solves so many issues.
well, I always thought that it was fun when you get to kill Nozdormu's future self.
Yeah.
And then you get done, and he's like, "Yep, that's me in the future.
Yep.
Sucks to be me."
Yep. That
you
would
know.
never that would never have happened. We wouldn't have gotten alternate Gul'dan anymore because the Infinite Dragonflight was part of Kairaz was part of the Infinite Dragonflight, sort of
Yeah,
unofficially.
we
So
haven't
we
gotten
wouldn't
any
have
resolution on what's his face yet either. Not Netharian or who's
Rathian.
the black? Yeah, Rathian.
Yeah. So I that's who I would pick. I don't know his name, unfortunately, or her name, I should say. Sorry, but Nosdormu's mate, the one that causes him to go crazy and thus create the Infinite Dragonflight. That's who I would save because it would solve so many of the timeline issues right then and there.
Good question. We'll have to. I mean, you can put a twist on that and see if we, introduce one next week too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think next week, news pending, time pending, we'll do a fate change. Who would you save? Why would you save? What would be the outcome of that? Same with who would you kill instead?
Oh, because didn't we do who would you save or bring back to life this week? Who would you kill? It will kill.
Jaina.
When? But when? Who would you kill and when? Right?
Yeah,
We're
if we're
talking
gonna go,
Hillsbred,
if we're gonna go when, yeah, that changes things up a bit.
right? That's the key piece. Because you could kill Jaina right now.
Yeah.
But what if you killed her, let's say, when Thrall's trying to escape Hillsbred?
She doesn't. She's not actually there. That's somebody else.
Oh, who am I thinking of then? But
Teresa, something like that.
Jaina is Bay, but what if Jaina became what if Jaina was the Banshee instead of Sylvanas?
That would be
Right?
funny.
Right?
I don't think that Jaina has the mindset for it, but that'd be funny.
Well, no, but let's say instead of Sylvanas going and getting Bansheed up in, was it Warcraft 2 or 3? 3. 3.
3.
Frozen Throne.
Yeah.
It was Sylvanas, or no, it was Jaina instead that he wraiths out.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that definitely. If we have time, we'll cover this next week, just because this is a interesting thing. And I will right now. I'm going to ban Mancrick's wife. She she doesn't get touched. Her and Mancrick himself, they're not allowed as answers because that seems
God, you're
like
such a cheater.
it's the well. I asked that question to somebody else, and they were like, "I'm going to go with the obvious one. I want Mancrick's wife to be saved." I'm like, "No, that you don't get to pick that. That's something major." But anyway, I believe that's going to be a day late show. So, have you any shout outs, or do you want to let people know how to find you on the internet, that kind of thing?
Sure. Twitch.tv/Galvanid. If you're on Twitter, it's Galvanid Online, all one word. And I'm always in Discord and monkeying around in half a dozen CTR channels. I play in the Vex Guild on Thunderlord and Convert to Raid Nalik on Airy Peak. If you see me around, if you see someone named Galvanid, it's probably me. And I totally appreciate everyone out there. Shout out to Sushi Boy Simon. Thanks for checking out the show. Appreciate it, and hope to get on some Sea of Thieves with you later. And of course, shout out to everyone who we remember during Memorial Day, because we appreciate the freedoms that we have. What about you, Draven?
Well, for starters, you can find me on Twitter. That'll be the easiest place, at Draven Dresden. As long as you're polite and civil, talk about almost anything if you decide to. There are some exceptions to that, but if you find those topics, you'll know. I mean, they're not hard. As for shout outs, first and foremost, again, Memorial Day weekend, I'll do the stereotypical. I'm going to shout out to the armed forces people, that kind of thing. Not necessarily the leaders, but the actual armed forces themselves. I will give the shout out to them. Also, just for gaming related, since I did have that small group of people to help me get that freaking dragon, I will give a shout out to those particular people who helped out with that. I think most of them were part of the Epic Eggplant Raid group. 2 of them were at least. So thanks for that. And also one last shout out, just because I didn't get to do it last week, to Noxy Chew's guild, Hallie's son. I don't know how you, I don't know how to say the word, but congrats on your heroic Argus. I'm glad I could be of use. Just happened to be watching the stream and they were doing it and they were like, we need a DPS. I was like,
And they asked you.
I have a 960 something melee DPS. Get it. Okay. So I helped out with that for a bit. So that was fun. Stuff I need to mention. We have a Patreon. Patreon.com/podcastepicfail. $1, $2, $5. I think it's set up to all the way to $100. No one expects $100, don't worry. If you feel like donating to the show, it's greatly appreciated. Not understanded, but greatly appreciated. Epic Fail does have a Discord, bit.ly/epicfaildiscord, because I'm creative like that. And, join it, come say hi. Text-to-speech is turned off thanks to some people who, a while back, decided to join it and throw text-to-speech on. So now it is now mandatory that it's off. Because fun. But
What about the amazing music that we enjoyed in the beginning of the show?
That is me playing it on YouTube as we're getting ready. I will take requests if people have requests for music. I will pre-screen that music, but as for the opening theme song, I found that over at bensound.com, and it's licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. So, Galv, have you any last words? And Galv was never heard from again. With the upcoming release of Battle for Azeroth, I thought it'd be fun to play a little game with all you. How many times did Taryn Gregory make you cry? Bingo. How do you play, you might ask? Well, that's easy. It's same as normal bingo. You draw a 5x5 set of boxes that you can write names into. Now, inside each of these, you're going to write a zone in Battle for Azeroth and a character name. An example of this would be Jaina in Borealis, or Vol'jin in Darkspear Isles. Obviously, some options are going to be a little better than others. But you take your names, you take your zones, you put them in the boxes. The center box is a freebie, as is usual. Now, you take a screenshot of this box, and you post it either on the Twitter or inside the Lagging Balls Discord prior to the Battle for Azeroth release. Now, how do you win? Well, just like any bingo, you fill in and complete a row across, a line down, or a diagonal through the freebie space. Now, you only fill these in if you guessed correctly with both character and zone. And that has to have a cinematic that makes you cry. Thanks, Taryn Gregory. Thanks. This is not a real game. Do not try this at home. Lagging Balls and Epic Fail are not responsible for any harm WoW cinematics cause you.
The hype for BlizzCon 2018 has begun, and so has our planning for this year's Con Before the Storm.
Con Before the Storm will bring together fans and content creators for all of Blizzard franchises once again at the Anaheim Hilton on November 1st.
This is the largest Blizzard community-built event, and it's made possible thanks to everyone who supports our Kickstarter campaign, which is now live at conbeforestorm.com.
Our initial funding goal is $13,500, and we're confident we can hit that goal with the community's help.
As always, we plan to include meet and greet opportunities with dozens of content creators, including artists, podcasters, Twitch streamers, esports personalities, and much more.
Returning fan favorites that are already confirmed for this year include badge artist Egg Dishes and Tepish, as well as the return of shirt and button designer Nadia Lee.
Finally, it wouldn't be Con Before the Storm without World of Podcasts, which will be celebrating its 6th-year anniversary.
However, our plans for World of Podcast have grown, as have the costs to make it a reality, and we need your help to bring World of Podcast back for its best year yet.
Get ready for a great night of podcasting content should we hit our stretch goal of $24,500.
To learn more about our plans, stretch goals, and backer rewards, go to conbeforestorm.com and follow at conbeforestorm on Twitter for ongoing updates. See you at BlizzCon!